All right, now we're on to side 2 with starting right off with Money.
Yep.
Are you ready, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Money in 3, 2, 1.
I don't think you'll like this.
Okay.
Prediction.
Really?
For one reason.
It's going to fade out probably.
We've had that already.
Okay, that's famous baseline.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's a guitar and a bass and a guitar. Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a True Blood guitar sound if I've ever heard one.
There's got to be a better name for it than that.
It's the most descriptive thing to me. Yeah, I mean, there is. Yeah, it's a tremolo effect.
Yeah.
Complete slap back echo on the guitar, on the vocals. My God, we're gonna have a 3-hour video.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why you thought something different would happen.
My other video I did earlier too was an hour and 10 minutes long.
Is it just you?
Yeah,
All right, then.
it's your fault. You're the issue. So far, I love this.
Yeah.
Very bluesy.
Yeah.
And again, they're doing the same thing they did on Time. On the right side, you hear that stabby organ part, and on the left side, it's a very rhythmic staccato-y guitar part. And that bass keeps repeating the same thing, which grounds the whole thing.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're so wrong about your hatred of saxophone.
Yeah, no, this is awesome in this song.
Well, let's listen to it and give it a chance. I like that the slapback echo is still on the saxophone too. I don't think a saxophone's ever played in key. It's impossible. Dude, the groove is so cool though.
Yeah.
Like, you can't deny that. That is iconic.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why this song is famous.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guitar kind of takes the.
Hold on, wait. How did they do this? Okay, so 2 guitar tracks. Yeah, so they just doubled it. Yeah. Piano. Is this song just in 4/4 time? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they have a wah pedal on that organ thing on the side, which is cool. Totally dry guitar solo now on the left side. Just dry as a whatever. As my old boss used to say, dry as a popcorn fart. That's what he used to say. Cleet used to say that all the time. Dry as a popcorn fart. Dude, I love the layering. Tom drum there sounded great. Yeah. This is, after listening to Metallica, this feels right at home. Just guitar solo after guitar solo after guitar solo.
Yeah.
But people really don't like it when you talk over guitar solos. I've learned that.
As if we can't still hear it.
You don't get the feeling of every note,
Okay.
every bend.
It does sound a lot better having the guitar do this instead of the sax, I'll say that.
I don't know why they'd ruin the song with the saxophone for a while. I love that guitar sound.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's very cool. Okay, and they come back to some vocals. Thank you. Metallica could learn from this band.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday, Metallica they get to hear.
I wonder if they've ever heard them.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I probably can't compare this to Metallica because Metallica came after Pink Floyd, and people think you can only compare things to its contemporaries. This is 1,000 times better than that dumb Led Zeppelin album, I can tell you that. If I had heard this the whole time with Led Zeppelin, I would be like, 2 years later was Pink Floyd!
Now you're going to have a reference point for every 70s album that we listen to.
That's the whole point of doing these, though.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
They like to throw these little spoken parts in.
They
actually
do talk a lot in these.
I've been pretending I don't know what those are this whole time, but I did read a whole big thing about
really?
where those came from. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be curious to hear.
Yeah. Oh, we're done with this song now, almost.
Yeah. Right. I think we should stop after this, though.
Okay, I stopped it. So
Yep, it does. It just walks right into the next song.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't even call that a fade out because the volume's still up.
oh, that's
They're
not
still
a fade out.
talking.
Right,
No, no.
yeah.
And then just straight into the next song.
I personally like it when bands can do that, connect songs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that was a full song necessarily.
The radio would disagree.
We just lost Chris.
Oh, really?
There you are.
Hello?
He's back.
Yeah, I hear you.
Hot damn.
Okay, all right. Let's
Let's do it.
Don't even question it. So the thing with the talking parts,
Yeah.
One thing, it's a little frustrating to me that they're all so low that you can't hear them, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I think that's kind of the point. It's not necessarily about what they're saying, just the fact that someone's there saying something.
What did you read about him?
So what I read about them was when they were done recording the album, or for the most part, I think they got everyone from the studio to come sit in the studio in a booth, and then they just asked them questions and wanted them to honestly answer them.
Okay.
And so they asked them very simple questions first about just like the stuff that was happening at the time, and then they would ask them more difficult questions about like death and if they've ever witnessed a violent crime, if they've ever been involved in anything illegal, things like that.
Are you a cop?
Well, and so the thing is, like, apparently there's like some famous quotes on this album that people have like dug from listening to it. It's hard to tell what anything's exactly saying.
Yeah. But I'm sure I'm like, oh, jeez, we lost him again.
So
Yeah.
anyway, to
Who knows?
finish
It might have been-
to finish what I was saying, they basically used parts of these interviews scattered throughout the album, but there was a few people that said something like pretty important, and those are the things that people pulled people out.
Okay.
Like I guess they talked to one of the guys that worked at the studio, and he says he was talking about witnessing a crime or something, or wanting to kill someone or something like that. And there's like parts of that are on
Cool.
the album.
I bet they could pull that out
So.
of the 5.1 mix pretty good.
Oh, I'm sure. I know they
There's-
did. They did mention.
Why don't people do that anymore? Stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like that's just so. It's super cool, and I
I
just don't
agree.
know why it isn't happening.
And especially, I think that will start to make a comeback, especially because a lot of people, at least gamers, have headphones that are capable of doing surround sound now. So you can actually, right, Chris?
Oh, sure.
So you
I
can-
don't know.
Like virtual 5.1
Yes,
stuff.
like you can
Yeah.
actually listen to surround sound with just headphones now, which is something that would have been inconceivable at this time.
Right.
You know, to have,
yeah.
to have a quadraphonic record, right, you'd have to have a quadraphonic player,
Right, yeah.
which would be insane to think
right.
about.
Well, even in the CD era, I mean, this was an SACD. You had to have an SACD player.
yeah.
I guess now you have Blu-ray, but there's no reason you couldn't stream 5.1
No.
on Spotify. I don't know if that's a thing, but
Maybe I wonder if you could do it even on Tidal or something that's like lossless, because it would be
Yeah.
hard to do that. I mean, you'd have to stream 5-6 channels or whatever, so it'd be like 6 times the bandwidth.
well,
Yeah, I mean it
we have
works.
the
You know,
bandwidth.
you can stream movies that are in 5.1. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah,
Give it-
for sure.
Right, like
given you don't have to worry about a video signal, I would say that your bandwidth could still be significantly diminished.
Yeah.
Or, you know, significantly less workload for that kind of.
Yeah,
so I don't know why that's not a thing. Why there isn't just like a 5.1 MP3 standard
Yeah.
or something. That's like
I mean,
700
Nobody has.
kilobit.
I just don't think it has.
I mean, we know that.
Nobody needs it. Everybody's
guess,
using laptop
yeah.
speakers and earpods for everything.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that Blur album was mixed in Dolby Atmos.
That's true.
So
That's crazy.
That's
I
at
need to
least
listen
something.
to that.
I guess
just
that's
based
the,
on that alone.
That's the other thing is a lot of people do have 5.1 setups now.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Way more than would have had quadraphonic setups.
And like I said, I don't think
I don't know. I don't think I would agree with that. Depending on where you're at. Like,
I think it's like
so
easy.
few-
Rich person, they move in a new house, they pay someone to put in a home theater system.
Well, sure, but I mean, like, so few people around here. Nobody has a house. Everybody's got apartments.
Okay, that's
And
true.
there's
That's a good
just
point.
It's not making it happen.
And I suppose the rich people that pay for their home theater setups are not sitting down and listening to albums on there.
I mean, to me, I just think like I have a nice surround sound system, and like if I do,
and it didn't,
anybody can.
Right, it didn't take much to set that up.
No. You could.
But you gotta have the space for it.
You have to have the space, and you have to have the know-how, and you have to,
You have to
like,
want to.
I'm lucky right now because all my surround sound goes through my PS4, which has an optical output on it.
Right.
The PS5 does not have an optical output on it, so I will lose my surround sound capabilities if I ever get a PS5, unless I get a new receiver, which will cost just as much as a whole surround sound system.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was great. I loved the whole thing.
There's your reason right there.
You love the
You're
whole
like,
thing.
If I did it, anybody could do it. And it's like, well, you just said that you can't do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on.
expensive.
Cody brought up a good point. I love the whole thing. No, the saxophone was stupid. The thing is, like, it wasn't that bad. It was bad, but I just hate saxophone. The sound of a saxophone is like grating to my ears. I hate it.
You'll love the next song.
Oh God, please no. Do one of the guys in the band actually play saxophone? Probably.
I don't know.
So they're these definitely they seem like the kind of guys that would be like multi-instrumentalists for sure. But
Nobody's listed as sax player.
no, it was digital sax. It was put in digitally.
You heard it here first.
Okay, all right, let's get to the next track. then.
Saxophone.vst.
This is the longest track on this whole album. 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Us and Them, it's called, which is interesting. Which could have a reference to like aliens and stuff or something. I don't know.
Space.
Probably not, since they specifically said it wasn't space. But I mean, I'm getting lots of spacey vibes here. So, all right, are you ready, Chris? All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I hate that you can still hear the previous song. I hate that.
It went right in for. I told you it did.
I know. I just want the one thing to end completely before the next thing starts within reason.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no reason this song couldn't start like right here.
Right.
You know what I
I
mean?
see.
Yeah, there wasn't a natural transition.
Yeah, just move the track starter
Cut,
over.
yeah, the split.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Right
I
away.
love how
this
the
is-
organ moved
Yep.
just out of the way for all the rest of the music to start.
You hear that ride cymbal off to the side where it probably was.
And that click, it's so quiet. And it's still all right there.
It is all very quiet.
Yeah.
Like I want to turn it up, but I know I shouldn't. Oh. I got excited with the piano. Ooh, that was a cool piano chord. Little discord in there.
You know the words.
I would love it if that was the only words in the whole song. Dude, this
Just
is
normal
Beatles
man.
like. This is kind of Beatlesy.
Yeah.
Dude, I love this chord progression. And that delay, baby. You know, we take for granted. I could do that in a second. I'll do it with my words right here. You. We totally take that for granted, but that probably was not an easy thing for them to do.
Especially because it changes.
Mm-hmm.
Usually then it goes out left, goes out right.
Yeah.
Love that transition. Love it.
Here it sounds like a lot of distortion here. And blue, right? Huh?
Could have been and white.
Nah, I
It
wouldn't.
could have been white.
But that doesn't rhyme with us and them
Oh.
or me and you.
That's
Yeah.
true.
See if you get the next one.
Okay. See, this saxophone I don't mind. This is gorgeous.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an alto sax or a up and down,
Yep.
right?
Down.
Dude, I love
Ladies'
this.
first lyrics.
I love this though. This is great.
Yeah.
This is very Pure Reason Revolution. Which means clearly Pure Reason Revolution inspired Pink Floyd.
That's right.
Just 50 years
Yep.
later.
They should sue him.
Dude, I love these vocal harmonies though. The delays are amazing. This is by far my favorite song we've heard. And then they do this though. It feels like it should be so much bigger, right? It feels like something's being held down or held back.
That might be an age limitation.
I wonder. They were just trying too much. The
Pushed it.
There's vocals there though that are wide.
Yeah.
They're just keeping all that stuff in the middle, those big, the intensity. Yes. That I was not expecting piano on this at all.
On the whole album.
No piano in Pink Floyd.
Yeah. That man is very British.
I love how it's just low enough that you can tell someone's talking,
Yeah,
but the
it's
combination of volume and crazy accent means nonsense. There's no words you can pick out.
I cannot get over the guitars. They are gorgeous. Just they're so tasty off to the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's an organ on one side and a guitar, and it's just the saxophone's kind of, but it's not as bad. I don't like that the saxophone's there, but 3 choruses.
Yeah.
Or well,
No words on this one.
yeah, this definitely feels like they're pushing everything too hard.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why everything is low passed all of a sudden. And the drums the entire song have been very low. And now I'm wondering if maybe that wasn't a choice so much as a necessity.
Down and out.
Oh, in and out, is that what he said?
Down and out.
Down and out. Oh. God, that guitar.
It's so far away, but
I
you
love
just
it.
you know it's doing so much work for the song.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if you took that out, the song would feel so empty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the piano too.
I love the elegance of that.
Mm-hmm. Someone could shoot the saxophone player and I'd be okay with it, but everything else is just great.
He heard you.
Yeah. Ooh, that chord is great. There's like a dissonant chord there. I love it. Dude, this vocal melody. Oh,
Yeah.
this is a beautiful song. I'd love to hear someone cover this where it was recorded really well and they didn't have a saxophone player. That'd
You
be
should
great.
listen to the live version of this.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'll bet. For the same reason I'm curious about all the Metallica live stuff. because now they have all the technology now to record this. Love the female backing vocals. Oh.
Next song.
Okay, we'll stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the next one.
I enjoyed a lot of that. But like you said, Chris, I think you're right. That's maybe a limitation of the times.
Yeah.
That whole song felt like it never reached the potential. You know, like, I would have loved it if the drums were like 10 dB louder the whole time. Like, bring the drums way up the entire time and let everything sort of like sit inside of the drums like they have been so far when the drums are doing like normal drum things. But I love the melody there. I love the vocal thing. I loved the delayed was really cool. Even the part where it did get big, you know, you could clearly tell it was a very different part of the song. You know, so far it's been a little hard on certain, you know, either it was doing a solo or it was like some sort of like a verse feeling thing, and there really haven't been anything that I would discern as being like a chorus so far. That was like the first moment where we're like, here's a new thing, and then it comes down, and then that same thing comes back again, and then it comes down, and then that same thing comes back a third time with no words, but it's clearly that happening again. And then it came back even again a fourth time at the end of the song. So that was really great. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite song because of the negative things I mentioned. The fact that like it felt like it was trying to like escape itself almost, like it wanted to burst out and be this big full sound, but it never could be that. And like you said, Chris, I think it's probably limitation of the time. But I still think it's probably my favorite song, even with the saxophone, which there was probably 2 full minutes of saxophone solo on this. But yeah.
Cool.
But
I loved it.
There is no more like, find me a gentler saxophone in any song.
Yeah, it was very smooth. Like I for sure agree. And I don't know if that's like just because it's a different kind of a saxophone or if it's just playing it differently. I don't know. They weren't wailing on the thing. But
I think it was just the style that they played in.
Could be. It was definitely more of like a smooth jazz type of sound. And I enjoyed that a lot more than the previous track where it was like rock and roll sax.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How do you guys feel about that song?
I love that song. That's one of the best songs just that they have, I think.
It never stood out to me, I guess, but listening to it now, it's great.
Yeah. Do you often listen to this album on headphones?
No, I don't think when I was a kid, I did.
Yeah.
But
is it fun to do it now like this?
Yeah.
Because that's what Chris always say when we listen to Metallica. I was like, gosh,
Oh, yeah,
I've never like sat and listened to this in quiet and like,
Yeah.
except for that cricket that is here. But other than the cricket, like everything's relatively quiet and it just sounds so good to me, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely listening to this in a different way than I normally would.
Chris, Parker, what about you?
Yeah, I think anything that I have that is older, like in my own life, stuff that I grew up with or I have known for 15 years or whatever, things that I knew and liked before we started doing all of this like 10 plus years ago, those things are going to like most frequently are like, I've never sat and done this with them because they just either, exist in my life and I haven't given it a second thought. Like, oh yeah, I wonder if that thing, because you think something so well. I don't know. It just doesn't really cross my mind.
It's always been there. Like this album's always been there.
It's always
in my
been
life.
there.
So it's like, what am I going to, on my own, go sit down and listen to this with headphones? No.
Yeah, why would I do that? I know all these songs.
Right.
See, for me, I don't necessarily feel that way, but I think there's several reasons for that. One of those is the fact that if I really love something, I try to experience it as little as possible, which is contrary to like most everybody else.
Yeah, because you don't want to get sick of it.
I don't want to get sick of it, and I want it to be really special when I do. So like my favorite
I do
albums.
that with food.
Right, I can see that. Right, so like with my favorite albums, I only ever listen to them like maybe once, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
At most. But also for me, like I remember when I got these headphones, I was like, okay, well I can now listen to everything I've ever heard before and just hear it for a new way. And I'm still going through that same phase when I just got a CD player earlier this year, and I hooked it up to my stereo system, which I have down here hooked up for my gaming setup and everything, which I just mentioned with my surround sound. And so I'm still discovering the feeling of sitting and listening to stuff in the air, because I would say like 90% of what I listen to is on headphones.
Yeah.
And
it's really, yeah.
And so like to feel the music through really good speakers that I have, I'm lucky to have really good speakers with a subwoofer off to the side that's a decent subwoofer, and to just listen to things and just sit there and feel it coming at me is such a different experience than using the headphones. Yeah. And so I just feel so lucky. Like I've been going back through so many different things this year, just sitting in the recliner and like just enjoying listening to music in a different way. It's very fun. It would be really fun to listen to this on like that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was thinking that exact same thing, because I have like a really nice set of tower speakers for the home theater and stuff like that. And that the majority of my, like, here's a brand new album, I've been dying to hear it, I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen to it, has always been on the couch, those two, using the two big speakers and getting it through the air. And so a lot of this stuff is like, I've, done my best listening in a different format than on these headphones. But this is a situation where it's like, these are, some really nice, expensive headphones I bought for work now that I do sound stuff all day long. And so I'm getting a whole new world of just stuff I've never heard in songs before by virtue of using it and doing it this way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How do you usually listen to? Just in the air, right? Probably.
Yeah, just in my car.
Oh, in your car too? Oh, dude. Oh, man. When I was in high school, the amount of hours I just spent sitting in the car not with it on, windows rolled down, just sitting in the car. When we used to go to any high school event, I would drag my friends out to the car and be like, listen to this. That's awesome. None of them ever cared at all. But I would make them. Now, to be fair, the two people I always did that with, they are married now and have a bunch of children. So all the time they spent in the back seat of the vehicles that I had probably really paid off for them. but it's a fun thing to think about. And it is fun to listen to music in a car too. Yeah. Because you have it. It's almost like surround sound, but also car stereos, even if they're not very good, it's just hearing things in a different way. Yeah, for sure.
It's a big glass box. You're going to bounce stuff all over, and as long, I mean, if you've got a half decent car stereo and the car's not running, and most importantly, you're not moving, you can
sound fantastic.
That's the best stereo a lot of people have.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely.
Although I'll say, if I'm going to sit down and listen to an album, it's usually on vinyl. And usually not a great copy either. So I'm definitely not getting the best experience there, but it's the novelty of it,
Yeah, for sure. And you generally listen to older music, right?
Yeah.
But your fiancée, Audrey, she listens to more modern things.
Yeah, so that's where I hear a lot of stuff in the car. Because we have an XM subscription, so a lot of satellite radio.
Yeah, and she likes a lot of. She has really shocked me with the things that she likes, or just even knows. Yeah. So it's like, that's great. Sometimes I'm always like, I wanted to show Cody that, but Audrey already showed it to him.
That's great.
Okay, let's move on to Any Color You Like. And these British people are they're telling us we need to spell the word color with a U. Get out of here. Come on. Color. Any color you like. Hey, governor, it's any color you like. Harry Potter.
Start the song.
How do you count in British? 3, 2, 1, governor. No, 3, 2, 1. The governor threw me off. Chris is like in a
What's
whole
happening?
different...
We started.
All right.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is cool.
Do that trickle effect. I love it. Okay, so they have it's like a quarter note delay. So when you do stuff like this with a delay like that, you can only play certain things in certain notes in the key, because you don't want to have something overlapping something that doesn't work together.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful what you're doing when you have a crazy delay like this. Unless it was 2 tracks. And he's just delaying himself.
Which way would be easier?
Well, the second way you'd have to almost write a second part for it. The first way you wouldn't. But now I'm pretty sure I'm hearing more than just one part.
Okay.
that I heard someone going,
I think I heard that too.
it had to have just been a guitar note. Okay, so that's 2 different parts. So the organ thing probably was 2 parts. What is that bass note? Oh yeah, that groove now they settled in. Oh yeah. They're scared to make the drums as loud as they should be. Ooh, the bass player is phenomenal. I think that's Roger Waters, right? That played bass.
Yep.
I love the way the synths come ramping back in. You want to just finish out the last 3 at the same time?
Should we?
Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Cool.
Oh, they're all short, so.
Yeah.
I gotta remember all the things I wanted to say.
I feel like Any Color You Like ended with just a little bit of breathe again. Right
Okay.
before it jumped into this part.
Yeah.
The song's great.
That hi-hat, again, just so ever-present.
The lunatic is on the grass.
Grass.
The lunatic is on the grass.
This is definitely referencing something specific, I'm sure.
Remembering games and daisy chains and laughs.
Fantastic vocal harmony.
The moon is on the path. The lunatic is in the hall. The lunatic
Is Sid Barrett the lunatic?
in the hall.
I don't know. It could be a political thing, too.
The paper holds their folded faces to the floor.
It's probably about a very specific thing.
Yeah.
Paper boy brings more. And if the dam breaks open many years too soon, and if there is
Do you know any bands that sound like this that do more normal music?
What does that mean? Sound like this, but normal music?
Like, that's really from this time that's mixed this well, but that just,
Oh.
like, have normally structured songs? Yes.
What's
Oh,
your
God,
time?
it sounds good.
Yeah.
What's your timestamp?
144.
144. 150 right now.
Okay.
Someone just went,
It's the lunatic in his head.
I love the laughing. I love it.
so he was the lunatic on the grass the whole time.
the blade, you make the change. You rearrange me till I'm sane.
Dude, I love the guitar playing. I just love it. I would be really curious to hear their later albums, because to think as the recording technology and mixing technology got better,
Yeah.
like how many albums did they release after digital became a thing, like in the early 80s to later?
Two or three.
I think I still got their thing pulled right up.
I think after the wall there was 2, and then there was Division Bell in 94.
So the final cut and a momentary lapse of reason. Well,
Yeah.
the final cut would have been the last album with Waters. So that one could have been made digitally.
Yeah.
Hey, they said it.
That's the name of the album. Mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
They must have liked that guy's laugh.
It's the Wilhelm laugh.
The Wilhelm laugh. Dude, that's funny. That could be the name of a band or something. The Wilhelm laugh. That's great. Patent that. See, this sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Why couldn't us and them have more of this tone? I mean, I know they were trying to do some different things, but
Oh, and we're into Eclipse now.
yeah, we're into the last song.
Yeah, like I said, they're essentially
That's
one
the thing
song.
of it. This is such a singular experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking earlier about how much of a bummer it would have had to be to flip the album at money. Like, what a disaster.
Because of the way it's structured, though, it does feel everything feels too short. Dude, I love me a gospel choir, and they're getting gospel choir-y here.
The lyrics for this part. Every line is "and all that shit."
I love that. Hold on, he just said, "and all that you eat, and everyone you meet."
It's a great closer. Then technically
We're back.
there's 30 seconds here of...
What a thing it would be
Hold on,
if this could... Sure, I don't get to talk.
So it ends on the heartbeat, which started the album.
Yeah, but I want to. What did the guy say?
I don't know. You're not supposed to
Didn't say
hear
anything.
No, there was a voice in there talking.
it. Yeah.
It was me.
No.
No.
I heard you, but you were talking over him, which is I was like, "Shut up!"
Okay, that's it.
I know.
You told me to
I was
shut
just
up
gonna say-
4 times in the last Metallica video. Okay,
You're
that's
right.
it. Okay, that's it. It's over.
I mean, that's only one per album.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, what a neat thing it would be if you could just
Oh, boy.
put the album on repeat and have that go straight
Oh.
into the next song.
Yeah.
Hello?
What the hell? What in the hell?
Okay. Hello?
There he is.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so
Yes, it would be great if you could just roll right back into the
but
track
no, you got to
one.
get up and you got to flip that junk over, and then you got to listen to 4 songs and then flip that junk over again.
But you know what? It was a pretty good stopping point between Great Gig in the Sky and Money, though.
Oh, sure.
Yes, I agree for sure.
I feel like it wouldn't be one though if they didn't have.
That's right. They would totally make one whole 45-minute experience.
Yeah. Now, okay, so I have to remember what I was thinking about what we just heard there.
Okay.
So the first track we heard, Any Color You Like.
Yep.
The one thing that came away from that was a waste of everybody's time, because that was the kind of thing that you do when you're like messing around with your buddies in the studio and you're like, hey, listen to this delay thing, listen to this. Like that should be like a B-side. That should not have been on the album, in my opinion. I felt like it was way too. It was not connected to anything, and I didn't personally care for that at all. I understand that it's cool, and maybe even at the time, no one had ever heard anything like that. So that's neat in that regard. But to me, it kind of took me out of what we had been hearing.
If it was like 2 minutes and the intro to something, it might have been cooler.
And the transition from it to Brain Damage is rather abrupt compared to everything else on the song.
Yeah, we didn't even know
album.
we were in the next song. So
Well, no, he's saying no. From Any Color You Like into Brain Damage, it was pretty.
Oh,
But
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
and
it's
then
like,
the next
normally
transition
it's
is
like- Yeah, because it's like, you could make a case for that being, instead of just a track, pretending this is all one album,
Right.
that's just another piece of a flowing experience. But the end of Any Color You Like into Brain Damage is it's not a smooth transition.
it's like
kinda
a stop.
rough.
You're right. There was like
Yeah.
a break.
Every single transition on this is like different. Like
Yeah.
some of them are just fading out while the other one fades in, and then that one's abrupt, and then like Brain Damage into the last track was like there's no transition.
Yeah,
It's
well, I mean,
all one track.
yeah, some of the songs definitely just felt like the continuation.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm gonna to help me, I'm gonna probably just think of it as like side 1 and side 2.
Sure.
If you ask me which side I like more, that is tough, because
I'm going to go with side 1.
I think I would have to say side 2, only because I loved Money, and then I loved Us and Them. You know,
Us and Them almost puts it over the top. That I think that song does the most heavy lifting for me on side 2 for sure.
I think maybe I enjoy the songs Money and Us and Them more as songs because they felt more like actual songs.
Yeah.
Whereas on the first half of the thing, you know, we kind of got screwed by having a half hour between track 2 and track 3.
Well, and yeah, because you missed the effect in track 3 where it does a reprise of
Correct.
Rhythm,
I would have
right?
never known that
Or
because
no, it's after time. Is after time.
Yeah, but after track 4.
Yeah, where
So-
we had a 25-minute gap there.
Yeah, and so like that was a bummer. But I think I liked what was happening on side 1 more, and as like a not an avant-garde, because none of this was avant-garde, but as like an abstract type of thing, I think The Great Gig in the Sky was really cool.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like you have to think of this more like the soundtrack to a movie or something that just doesn't exist.
Like The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to think of it almost more like a soundtrack,
sure.
which I'm not a big fan of listening to scores, like movie scores.
Yeah.
That's not my jam. But I do love movie soundtracks, which are obviously way different. And I guess what I'm talking about would be more like a movie score. Which is really interesting, that this actually does line up with Wizard of Oz perfectly or whatever. Which whoever figured that out.
It's not that perfect, but it does have some pretty impressive points in it.
I remember when that happened. I don't know when that became a thing. Like, was that something that was right away, or was that more? Because when I was in college, I remember everyone talking about that a whole bunch, and they set up like a way to like sync it up and everything in the studio. And I do
Right,
remember
because you have to start it at an abstract time.
you have to start it at a specific time,
A specific roar. or
And I will
whatever.
say, I do. Once we started talking about this, like I was there for a chunk of that to see it, but I do not remember hearing any of this at all. So I must have only been probably watching the movie, and I do not like the Wizard of Oz at all. Like I'm not a fan of the Wizard of Oz.
Well, and you don't listen to lyrics in songs, so
Yeah.
that is like the
Boy,
worst
someone just
experience
wasted
for you.
45 minutes of your time.
No, I didn't listen
Well,
to the whole
that's-
thing, but yeah.
That's the thing too, is Wizard of Oz is longer than this album. So what do you do?
Well,
I'm sure there's something that says like flip it back over to side A at this point.
No, it's just like it like matches perfectly with the scene cuts and everything, and just like the theme of what's happening in the show is like exactly what he's talking about, I guess.
but
from what I
only the
remember.
first 45 minutes of the
No, I
movie.
think it's the last 45 minutes.
Oh no, it's the.
I thought you were supposed to sync it up with the roar in the
Yeah, you
beginning.
sync-
Oh,
up
you're
with the
right. You're
roar
right. You're right. So it must just be the first 45 minutes.
I
then.
guarantee you, though, someone's like, but then if you start it over again, you can do the last half.
You got to play money
whatever.
twice.
It's whatever. It's stupid. It's just a coincidence, but that's really interesting. But I don't know what to say about this.
Has it restored your faith in 70s rock that can
70s
can be
production.
Good? Okay.
Yes. Because Led Zeppelin sounded so bad, but I think I've come to realize that sounded so bad because they did it themselves. Like, which these guys did it themselves. Well, no, I mean, they had Alan Parsons
Had
there
Alan
and stuff.
Parsons.
But the Led Zeppelin guys, I just think that was probably the worst album for us to listen to.
Interesting.
I think any one of their other albums would sound way better, and I think that was just a bad choice.
Well.
But you were even surprised at how bad it sounded, honestly.
the things you were pointing out to me, I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and there's bad distortion on it and everything. And we checked the vinyl, the 2003 remaster,
I
and
might
something.
fire that video up and take a look at it.
Yeah, I always.
There's no audio on it.
Yeah,
so
you
have to
can't
sync
hear
up.
the songs. So
Gross, never mind.
yeah, for sure.
Unsubscribed.
Unsubscribe. But anyway, it's really hard for me to put into words because I'm fighting my disappointment over the fact that this is kind of what I thought it was going to be. You know, like there are almost no choruses on this. The structuring is non-existent. So on one
I
hand,
wonder if part of what made it such a big deal at the time was the fact that it's structured the way that it is.
I could see that. I will say, I will call total bullshit on the fact that this is like a greatest selling album of all time. You can't tell me that the average Joe listens to this. Like if we, like, I feel like this is one of the cases where, you know how you see like someone wearing a metal band t-shirt, Chris, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, what are your 5 favorite, Cannibal Corpse songs? And they're like, I just think this shirt looks cool. That's what this is.
But it's
because if you're like, Dark Side of the Moon's your favorite album, tell me what's your favorite song.
right.
They're going to say Money because it's the only normal song on there.
As somebody who probably has at least 100 video games sitting that I've purchased that I'll never play, I don't know. I can't really get on board with everything you're saying.
I do think this was just a staple, and if you were a teenager in the 70s, you bought this album.
I get, but what I'm saying is, I don't think that there's very much here for the average music listener to enjoy. This is much more of a sit and think about it. And from what I have learned, a vast majority of people do not want to think about the music they're listening to.
I feel like that might be a product of the time that we live in now.
A generational thing, you think?
I think
Yeah,
back then
I
people
think
did
that-
want to put on an album and zone out,
Maybe.
with or without weed.
I mean,
I think music was doing a whole bunch of really big stuff at this time. Like every single time you turn around, you were having your mind blown by something that you had never thought you could ever hear. And you had so little to talk about. Like people were just gathering to do this.
And if you think about it, you had to go out of your way to choose to listen to music because you had to get the record out of the sleeve, put it on the thing, listen to it, and then flip it over and listen to their half. So like,
Yep.
on one hand, I agree with that. I still don't think that there's anything here for the average person to love. Because you and I, we all know the average person will not appreciate the sonic quality of this,
Right.
which is the thing that I definitely appreciate the most. If this didn't sound good, it would be total waste of my time.
Yeah.
But the fact that it does sound so good, and the fact that I'm trying to wrap my head around the time that it was made and how revolutionary it may or may not have been. I don't know what their albums before this. Did their albums before this sound really good too? Or I don't know.
I feel like this is the kind of album that made people suddenly care. And
I could see
people
that.
People didn't notice sonic quality until they heard this album.
I could see that.
So the 73 was around the time that hi-fi stereos were starting to become a big thing.
Okay.
Pioneer and Sony and everyone from Japan in the early, I'd say mid 70s, were starting to come out with stereos, high
And now you've got
turntables and all that.
2 ears, and each one gets to do something.
Right.
Like there was.
And I think that's really a big deal.
There was a period where, up until like early 80s, when people just stopped caring at that point about, like, stereos went from costing $800 in 70s money to, like, black plastic stacks of like Sears stuff that you can pay $200 for a whole stack of stereos with crappy speakers. And then that's what everybody had. So there was like a short period there where people like were really getting into
Hi-fi.
Yeah.
And I think that music, both from like a compositional perspective and from a production perspective, like the innovation of music, the things like novelties like stereo and then like synths and then, production quality like elements, those just get further and further out. Like when's the last time we had some sort of novelty that changed the entire medium? Like that hasn't happened.
You're right.
And especially not in a way that people, like anybody could pick up an album that was suddenly in stereo and have their brains blown out.
Right.
And like
to be fair though, like stereo at this point probably was a novelty thing.
Right.
Because,
that's what I'm saying.
Stereo had been, around for over a decade at this point. But you're right. And that was the thing that I was questioning when we started listening to this. Like the time is the song that impressed me the most, because when it was doing what a normal song would, like when it was doing the song thing rather than the abstract like vibe thing, it sounded like a song that could be released today. And I can give nothing from 1973 any higher praise than that. And the fact that it was mixed that way, maybe, I don't know enough about what else was happening around the time, maybe that's one of the things that's revolutionary about it. Like I keep thinking of Nancy Sinatra, right? Nancy Sinatra records are the way that I always complain about records from the 60s being edited, right? Her voice and the bass drum are on the left, and then an orchestra and the drum kit are on the right, and there's nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a four-track thing that they had. They panned 2 tracks to the left and everything else to the right. And that's what the whole song is. And it's like unlistenable.
Yeah.
It's unlistenable garbage. And when I talk about what I've heard, some of the Beatles stereo stuff.
And you're gone.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Hello. You froze.
Yeah,
in this,
for us, you just left the way you had been doing before.
And then it said I had been
But it
kicked
said you
from
were
the
still
stream.
connected, so I knew something was going on.
Oh, I see.
I don't remember what I was saying.
You were saying the Beatles stereo.
Oh yeah, just the crazy stereo mixes, and this is like what a modern mix is, and so
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too, is like anytime something new comes along, like that stereo, the Nancy Sinatra thing you're talking about, I imagine when stereo first started, you had a lot of music that was just like, let's put stuff over here and take time.
100%.
Nobody wants to hear it in the middle anymore, you know? And it's like
Yep.
getting it figured out. I feel like this is, you know, one of the instances of like they've got this figured out now.
Yeah, and this is like 100%. Like everything they did with the stereo spectrum here, I thought was absolutely perfect and exactly the way it would be done today. The only thing that would be different if this album was made today is they would have a lot more ceiling room to work with in terms of where to place things in terms of volume.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the volume of a lot of things on this wasn't moving a lot.
Oh, you could tell that on what was it?
You know, that
Us
makes
and
me
Them.
it makes me
Time.
wonder.
Or not
If,
time. Us and Them
Us
was
and
really
Them,
bad,
yeah.
yeah.
I wonder if this is part of the reason that everything is played so softly. They're giving themselves their own dynamics by bringing it way down, and that way when they get big, they can go further before they hit the ceiling.
I think that's what their idea was, and maybe this is part of the remaster too. Like we don't know exactly, but even when the songs where they were playing softly, I don't feel like those songs really ever got that crazy loud.
Sure.
You know, but you and I have always said, Chris, that I like listening to instruments and things being played softly and then just turned up in volume.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
really like
great.
that kind of stuff. And it can lead to like lots of subtle things really being appreciated, and tasty played things really being important. Whereas when things are played loudly, you have to like make things slice through the mix.
Yeah.
You have to find ways to like make things sit on top of loud, noisy things. And so that's why I do think in a big regard, or in a big way, I think this album was done very, very well. So I guess for me, my final thoughts on this are that I am listening to this, unless you tell me that like Pink Floyd drastically changed and have albums that are like way different than this, I would probably say that maybe a lot of people who told me not to listen to Pink Floyd were right. Like this is not music made for me.
Yeah.
This is, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it is not made for me. Everything that I don't like and complain about that when bands do is here, with the exception of the fade outs, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I'm shocked that every song didn't fade out. I actually think the fact that they connect all the songs could have been a very revolutionary thing at the time as well.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, show me the single.
Right.
There is no single. There's not even a regular song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you know, like I would love to hear some more like psychedelic rock stuff from the late 60s, early 70s, and see how this compares to those things.
It'd be fun if we ever did more Pink Floyd to have you do either like a later one and then also like their first album.
Yeah, like an early Sid
Their
Barrett
early
one.
sound is so different.
Well,
Interesting.
what I was reading about them was they had a lot of mixed reviews when they first started.
Yeah.
Because people were saying that they weren't making music. That they were just trying to
can
be
see that.
artistic and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I personally don't enjoy that kind of stuff as much, you know. But you have to kind of approach it that way from the beginning. Like you have to tell me
If only
like
music could be art.
I feel like if you guys had said like, "Hey, there's no choruses on the," and you did kind of, but like, "There's no choruses on this. This is not your standard music. This is really very different," which is what I do think people have told me that. But I feel like if I had come into it listening to it going, okay, you kind of have to think of this as one giant piece of music, I would have probably approached it a little differently. It took me like 4 or 5 tracks to realize that was more what was happening. And then because we had our technical difficulties between tracks 2 and 3, that really screwed that whole part up for me. So, but I will say for me personally, I would not put this on to just like listen to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's way too.
That's not really what you do. Yeah.
It's way too quiet.
You put it on when it's what you're like. I'm going to go do this thing now. It's not like I'm going to throw Pink Floyd on the back and then go clean some whatever. It's like, no, you're not. You're going to vacuum half the floor and fall down.
Right. And I could never listen to this in the car, right? Because it would be too quiet, too dynamic. You can't do that.
Yeah.
I will say the track Breathe or no, On the Run was the most shocking thing I heard, and I can't believe we didn't hear any other sequencer stuff on the whole album. Like we heard nothing else like that at all. And I'm kind of surprised. I was expecting to have more of that.
Yeah.
Because it would be really cool to have that with their subtle guitars and then the drums. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like that would be a really cool way to like structure a song around that stuff. And we didn't really have that. You know, and the reason for that probably is because when they perform, if they ever perform on the Run live, whoever's playing the guitar probably sets the guitar down, walks over to the synth thing and does that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd have to have 10 guys in the band to perform everything.
Yeah.
And so this is where we were getting to the live stuff, Chris, where when I talk about Metallica, you know, the limitations of the time when Metallica recorded their 3 earlier albums and the fact that Metallica insists on doing everything in the hardest way imaginable and making the stupidest decisions ever made in the music industry. They like... Because they have such dumb sounding production on some of their stuff, I can see the benefit of listening to a live recording from like the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Because it was recorded with better technology and because the fundamental aspects of Metallica are just drums, bass, guitar, vocals. And when they're performing live, they have a guitar, bass, drums, vocals performance.
You can recreate
so
it live.
it's very comparable.
Yeah.
Whereas with something like this, I don't know how you would do it.
I've never watched
do
their
it.
live shows, so I've heard they're very good.
Do they? I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
But I also
They do
know,
it.
I read that they have, their show is like very theatrical and it has lots of lights and stuff. Yeah. And to
Yeah.
me, sometimes that can just be a distraction from the fact that what you're basically listening to is karaoke.
No, it's totally different. It's really
Yeah.
incredible what they do. You got to see it.
Yeah. That would definitely be something I would maybe be interested in. Because did they ever do an album or a live thing with an orchestra or anything like that?
Not that I know of.
I don't know.
I know I've seen, when I used to work at Hastings, which is what I was sort of like a music store I used to work at, I swear there was a David Gilmour Blu-ray release where he was performing with, I don't know if it was an orchestra or what, but I remember I can kind of see him pictured on the front of it. I can picture the
Is
front
the
of
cover like sort of like pink and purple?
it. No, it was literally just like him standing like live on stage with, I think, a guitar. And it was like,
It might
I
be
remember,
live Royal Albert Hall. I have that Blu-ray.
it could
If
be.
that's the one you're thinking of.
It could be, I don't know, but I just know that like that's how I knew David Gilmour's name was like seeing that and being like, oh, David Gilmour, that's David Gilmour. And then when I started doing research for this, I was like, oh, David Gilmour is in this. And I'd heard Roger Waters' name, but I didn't connect him with Pink Floyd either.
Right.
So
Yeah, he had a solo career too.
yeah. So I don't know, but I would be curious to hear any of their solo stuff because I loved this so much. And like I asked you, does anyone know of any band that sounds like this that made normal ass music?
From the era.
I don't know anything.
Or even modern bands that are like influenced by this, but that still make normal music. I say normal, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I would love that. That I would love that.
Well, that other band you mentioned earlier that everyone says they sound like Pink Floyd.
Yeah, Pure Reason Revolution.
Yeah.
And I definitely, now hearing this, I definitely understand all the Pink Floyd references
Okay.
when I listen to Archive too. Like, and also Frost a little bit, but Frost is way more electronic. But like, I am, it's interesting. I guess that's all. I'll
Maybe
say.
their later albums would appeal to you.
Maybe.
It's hard for me to say.
We
I mean, we could do another.
We should
see.
try to do it, but I just don't know if we'd be able to legally because of the copyright stuff. We could maybe do some individual songs, but I can't imagine listening to just one track off
Right,
this
yeah.
album. And if their other albums are like this and every track flows into the next one, like it would be a giant waste to just listen to one track.
Yeah, you'd have to.
You
Like,
know.
I'd like to do The Wall with you, but
Yeah, I would love to do that too. And the
Whatever
one
else.
between them, the We Were Here or whatever.
Wish You Were Here.
Wish You Were
You'd
Here,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Or I used to like Animals a lot. Mm-hmm. Oh, I was going to show you. Look at the track list on this.
Okay, so it's just, wow, okay.
It's just like two movements essentially.
Yep.
And that was
Maybe I would
after-
like that better though, because they're just basically saying, here's a big artistic thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that Animals?
Yep.
Yeah, I've
Like,
never
let's-
heard that one. I don't
Hold
think.
on, let's look at that Echoes thing that I have.
Yeah.
That greatest hits.
Does it show where-
how would you make a greatest hits?
So what does it have from
this album?
So this has Time, and I'm sure Money's on here somewhere. Money's there. It has Sheep from Animals. That must be cut down or something. Like Astronomy to Mine, that's early.
Us and Them is on here.
This is like, I don't know what order this is in, because it's like Astronomy to Mine and See Emily Play are the first two, which is early stuff. But then Arnold Lane is like on second disc.
Well, I would assume that they had to mix this the way they mix this, where everything kind of flows into it. I mean, you'd have to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Great Gig in the Sky, right? I don't know.
I know there's no way you could see this, Chris. I'll just hold it up and try to like zoom in so that maybe the watcher can see the track listing here. You can just look it up. It's Echoes with a X. But like, I don't know. I think I'm not going to listen to this, but like,
It would be weird. They're mixing.
I mean,
all
I'll listen
sorts
to
of
it
stuff.
eventually, maybe once if we decide to do more of their catalog. But
Yeah.
I definitely would like to do The Wall, and I would like to do Wish You Were Here, just because I think those are sort of their three. I don't know. I would love to hear maybe their most like.
Those are the three biggest albums. Animals is kind of.
And what's
odd
the
one
most
out there.
recent one that you mentioned? The one
You
after?
said Division Bell.
Yeah, Division Bell.
Division Bell, yeah. before
Division
the
Bell would be
2014 one.
would be
94.
no 94. Yeah, the last
94,
one.
yeah.
I don't know
Writing
what
on the
was
Before
in
the
2014. I don't know.
That was the one that's all B-sides of that, because Roger Waters
Oh.
sued them because he didn't want him to.
So they didn't actually get together and do
No.
something in 2014.
No.
Okay.
So as
Yeah.
far as I understand, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the final cut. I one of my favorite songs there is on the Turning Away, which is on it's the album after. It's like the '86 album, I think.
Okay.
And that one sounds quite different. But I think that those last 3 albums are not. They're not like considered as good as this like string of 4 they had.
Yeah, but like maybe that was maybe that's a reason I would like them. I just wish it would be more straightforward, and maybe that's. I mean, I understand that's like a basic, Ben over here or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, it's so basic. But like, that's what I want it to be.
I'll say The Wall is a little. It tells a story in a way that's. I actually watched The Wall movie.
Well, they made it into a
week
movie.
ago.
Right?
Yeah, I watched that movie a week ago, just coincidentally. And it's like, okay, this is a little on the nose. Like, maybe that's just putting visuals to it. Was like, okay, maybe it's.
Well, do you know how they originally made that movie?
I mean, it's animated and.
No, but half of it was supposed to be animated, and half of it was supposed to be something else, and they shot all the something else, and then they were like, this does not work at all, and they had to reshoot everything.
Oh.
They had to like redo everything.
Oh, weird.
I can't remember the exact situation, but it was supposed to be something completely different. Oh, it was supposed to be, I think, live footage of the band mixed in with it.
Oh, that would have been weird.
Yeah, and then they decided
that sounds awful.
They decided to take that out completely and add in like the story of it. And the guy who was supposed to play the part was going to be Roger Waters, I guess.
Oh.
And then he auditioned, and they were like, "No," and he was like, "I don't want anything to do with this."
And then he sued them.
And then he sued him. Yeah, I think so. So, okay, but we were going really super long
All
with
right.
this. So, do you guys have any closing thoughts on Dark Side of the Moon?
Great album. That's all I got to say.
The overwhelming majority of my exposure to all of these songs is from the Pulse live tour, or the live show, live DVD, CD, whatever you want to call it. And so it's weird because some of them sound so simplified. Like the way that they sound, it's so much more caged. It's much more like the studio version of incredible live stuff. Like I still say I prefer the live version of every song from from Pulse.
I mean, I bet the live
And
version of Us and Them would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'll send you a link right now to the live version of Great Gig in the Sky, because it's just like the recording of it is like this doesn't sound like a live show. It just is incredible.
That's
it's really
I love it when you come across something like that. It's very rare for something to be recorded so well and then mixed well after the fact.
Yeah, it's really something.
Maybe we should do a separate video at some point for some of the video stuff. Maybe that's the way to experience Pink Floyd. I don't know, because I could see them also being a band where they take a song like like Us and Them, and it's 7 minutes 48 seconds here, but then they play it for like 12 minutes live,
Right.
and just noodle around with other things or mess around with things here and there.
Yeah.
You know, so. But I think that's been enough conversation with this for now.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for watching. We've all got big days tomorrow, so we'll end the video here. And thank you very much for watching. Like I said, we've got lots of other things coming out on the channel. I don't know when this video will get out. Probably not for a while. Because I just spent half of a week editing a giant 4-hour Metallica video, and I don't have it in me to edit this. But it'll come out.
Especially with like, I mean, how many times do we have to stop?
Oh yeah,
6, 7,
well that
8.
won't be that big of a deal because that'll be just cutting time out.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, it'll be. I'm excited. I'm glad we did this. I don't regret doing it at all. I'm glad we did it this way with both of you because I was originally just going to do this with Chris Parker, but I'm glad you were here too.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm happy we did it, but we'll have to see if we listen to more in the future and just.
If this video blows up, maybe.
Yeah, if we get lots of views on this, I will absolutely
And
want
if
to
it does,
try to do more.
someone in the comments tell him which album he would like the most.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know for sure. And if you know
'Cause I don't know.
any other bands from this era that are like this, but a little bit more straightforward, I would love to know that as well. Even if I just listen to it off camera or whatever too.
Yeah, we want to do
You know.
more classic albums. I
Yeah,
think.
we're definitely want to do that for sure. For sure. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and we hope to see you maybe next time.
Hot damn.